to the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville. Let's get a status report. Our director, William Dietrich, joining us again. And of late, I'm just going to branch off a recent conversation, Will, with Bechtel. Had the nice folks from Bechtel join us. They opened up an HQ, a hiring center, cut the ribbon to that. Tell me about some of the hiring that's been taking place and what you expect as far as thousands of more employees to be brought aboard for that LNG project at the Port of Brownsville.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they're going to be ramping up their hiring as they move forward. Right now, they have about 1,200 employees out there. It's projected by next year they should have about 4,000 to 4,500 employees. So definitely the goal is to recruit locally and give a lot of local people the jobs here. You know, we have a 30% obligation, but nevertheless, we've exceeded that by, for example, right now, 73% of the people working.
The agreed amount is 30% of the hires to be local, and you're running north of 70 right now. Why is that?
I truthfully believe with conversations from other industries coming down there, there's been a misunderstanding or the studies overlook a certain component of our region as it relates to workforce. A lot of people didn't take in consideration the cross-border talent that we have and some of the things that are very unique to our region. For example, we all know people that a family member of theirs goes out of town, goes upstate, or goes to foreign locations to work for 6 months and come back. These are very talented individuals that can now use that talent here. I don't believe that was represented very well in the workforce studies.
Okay, well, here we go. And they're going to need over 4,000. Sometime next year they're going to be hiring thousands more. What do you think will be the high watermark for this specific LNG project, the first big one that we have?
First big one, the high water would be about 4,500.
4,500. How many years will 4,500 people be working out there building this node?
With the project, with the time frame and everything, it's looking about 3 years.
When do you think we might hear LNG number 2 make a final investment decision for our port?
I believe it's going to be very soon. Texas LNG has sold over half of their offtake with additional LNG tolling agreement with EQT. So, in other words, they're looking really good. Conversations with them have been very positive, and they're looking at offtakers right now for the other half of what they're going to produce. We're getting close.
William Dietrich, Port Director at Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville. How many jobs, just ballpark figure, Will, how many jobs do you think, if you were to take all industries, everybody from bringing in the blades and the turbines for the windmills out there, power windmills, from building ships to the massive expanding steel operation, all that steel product that we have, how many jobs are available right now collectively at the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville, would you say, ballpark?
I'd say ballpark, we've been looking at with Interim, our ship traffic is increasing quite a bit. I would say overall about 5,000 to 6,000 employees.
That's pretty good. And that's including the LNG that is supposed to be bringing aboard another 4,000 here pretty soon to the area.
Actually, I didn't even include that number. So
okay.
That's counted separately. So we're looking at about 7,000 employees.
Okay.
So
quite a few
definitely,
jobs.
There's a lot of work here, a lot of great economic activity, and it's great that the locals are taking advantage of this opportunity.
Impressive news from the Port of Brownsville when it comes to its ranking and how much business, if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, definitely. The Port of Brownsville, we had a record-breaking year again. We rose to 50th position in the nation among 150 maritime ports for movement of waterborne cargo. This is according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers 2022 annual report. So, definitely we're seeing an upward trend, and it's continued throughout 2023 as total cargo tonnage at the port rose to 17.8 million tons. That's up from 15.2 million tons in 2022. So definitely it's a 17% increase. So that's definitely significant, and that is a job creator in its own.
Speaking of another segment that's a job creator is the industrial park for the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville. We get a big new tenant. What's the status of the park? You getting more phone calls, people setting up here pretty soon?
Yeah, definitely. The status of the park, we're moving ahead pretty quickly here. We're pouring concrete. It's starting to come together. And yes, definitely we have our first tenant already, and we are getting a lot of calls and inquiries. And we're working with a couple companies already that believe that this is the right spot to be.
How far along is the dredging project that the LNG is helping us with right now?
Well, we're in our final stages of accepting bids and signing contracts to begin on that. We should begin in around August. The preparation and all the paperwork and all the issues with the Corps have all come together, and we should be starting probably mid-August, maybe late August.
When are we going to see that new Texas A&M training center there on the campus of the port?
Currently, we've been talking, and they are creating a design for the building right now, and we should be receiving the first designs, the first renders. And once we get that, it's going to depend on Texas A&M and how fast they want to move from there. But we're ready to go. They already have the land. Just a matter of getting the plans together and moving forward.
And they will be providing. That will be like a direct pipeline of talent for the tenants at the port. That's the objective of that Texas A&M training center.
Yeah, and the objective is, yes, definitely to provide talent to our current operations, but it's also to attract more complex industry, tend to bring higher paying jobs. When we're looking at robotics, mechanics, all the things that go along with the high-tech industry, being able to have a workforce prepared to fit into these industries that are coming in. So one thing leads to another. It's definitely one of the pillars of our economic development here.
New energy, traditional energy, and the reason I ask you about that is a whopper of a headline. Again, there's only so much that you can say about this, but we're very impressed. I'm very impressed with the oil refinery project, the prospect of that project at the Port of Brownsville. And I would think that some of the curriculum at the A&M Center would be aligned with providing talent for that, for LNG, for other new technology, new energy, things like that. But what can you tell me about the proposal right now, the proposed idea of a new refinery maybe there at the port?
Yeah, definitely. It's in the beginning stages, and we're still working with Element Fuels. They're moving forward with their plan, and it looks like that they are going to be breaking ground very soon. So,
wow.
Definitely a nice media release that they sent out, and we're just putting it all together right now and see, when we're going to be able to sit down and actually have that groundbreaking so the community can be part of that.
Yeah. Ballpark figure, do you have any idea how big of an employer, how big of an impact that might have as far as investment or maybe jobs? Do you have any idea how that oil refinery project might be?
During the construction phase, they're looking at about 1,500 jobs. Upon completion, you're looking at about 200 to 280 jobs.
That is amazing. Do you know if there are any regulatory hurdles that still need to be cleared on this, or how does that work?
No, from my understanding is they've met all the regulatory hurdles. They're in the process of permitting and just shoring up, some of that work right now. But no, it seems to be a clear path forward.
That's amazing. William Dietrich, our director of Rio Grande Valley, Port of Brownsville. Anything else you want folks to know before I let you go?
Yeah, definitely, the direction for the Port of Brownsville is we're pretty much a throughput port right now, meaning, steel comes in, goes somewhere else, and value is added to that product somewhere else. Our focus from here forward is to start bringing in industry that we actually add value to the product. That's where the money comes in and stays in the community, and that's where the job growth, the economic growth, and the wealth starts staying in the community. So our focus, we're going to take advantage of the fact of our popularity right now and be able to, in attempt to bring in the industry to where we can add value to a product so that money stays here.
I decipher all that, and you telling me that you're looking for assembly lines. Of any and all type of industries, take raw materials and put some assembly lines out there for some finished goods, and we wish you the best.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. Instead of importing steel, what we'd like to do is smelter steel. Take iron ore, make it steel, and add value to the product. Instead of steel coming here and we move it somewhere else, but we'd like to add value to the product, and that's where a lot of that money will stay here in the community, and that's where true growth starts coming in.
Continued success, Chief. Thank you so much. He's director of the Rio Grande Valley Port of Brownsville, William Dietrich.